You're listening to the Traffic and Conversion Show. I'm your host, Michelle Fernandez, and today I am sharing the 9 habits of highly successful people. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. I just got back from Funnel Hacking Live, hosted by ClickFunnels. All I can say is wow. Like, if you have not been to a Funnel Hacking Live, make it a goal to get there next year. All right. I am going to do an episode coming up really soon of my top takeaways from the event, and you are going to love it. Last year, I did the same thing. And it was one of the most popular episodes. And I will tell you, this year, there were some amazing people there, like some of my mentors from afar and just people I've been following for a long time, like Brendan Bouchard, Marie Forleo, Jenna Kutcher. I mean, like, I know I'm not remembering everybody right now. I was also introduced to some amazing people like Ed Milet. I had never heard of him before. And let me tell you, like, my mind is blown, ideas are flowing, all this good stuff. So I'm taking some time to really dive in to see what those takeaways are so I can bring back to you and help you and your business and give you a little piece of what you missed. All right. Well, today I wanted to share 9 habits of highly successful people because I was just in a room of more millionaires than I ever thought I would be. And let's just be real, there were several multi-millionaires. I'm talking 10 million plus. Some of these people, even on the stages, not these famous people. I mean, these famous people were, 50 million a year. Okay. And even people that I would consider just like you and me, making millions upon millions of dollars. Okay. So whether you want to be a millionaire or not, right? It's all about serving people, right? So depending on your money stories or whatever, like maybe millionaire is not in your thing, whatever amount of money that you want to make, however many people that you want to serve, it all comes down about creating habits. And disclaimer, what I'm going to share with you today is not something that you have never heard before, okay? So what this is going to be is a reminder of what you should be doing to be a better you, right? And what better time than to start today, right now, today, in this moment, and start creating new habits for yourself. All right. Okay. So let's dive in. Number 1, wake up early, right? I mean, not everybody is like a morning person, right? However, we've always heard the saying, the early bird gets the worm, right? So do you wake up early to make more money, right? Or to be successful? Or do you have to, I should say, wake up early? No, not necessarily. I know there's some people that are night owls and I remember sitting somewhere with one of my friends and she's like, oh my God, like everybody says wake up early. I just can't. I'm better staying up late. Okay. Well, what does that do for you? Okay. Waking up early in the morning is just something that most successful people have created this habit because it's so quiet, right? There are no distractions and it's your time to fill your own cup before you have to do something for someone else. So consider waking up early to focus on yourself, focus on what you need to do to get to where you want to go. All right. Success habit number 2 is to exercise. All right. Now, exercise gives you more energy, improves your brain health, boosts your memory, enhances your concentration and focus. Now, this is something I would say that back in the day, I would exercise 7 days a week, 2 hours a day. Like, it just felt so good, right? I was in this habit, I was in the routine. And when I didn't, it was like womp womp, right? I knew like something just didn't feel right. I didn't have my mojo going, right? Well, successful people make exercise a priority because it makes you more productive and it makes you happier. And I will admit that exercise has not been a priority for me in quite a few years. Okay. This morning, I will admit I've been on this kind of, I think I'm on like, I don't know, 13-day streak, whatever. My tonal keeps sending me a however many day streak. And honestly, I'm just focusing on one day at a time. And after sitting in this conference all week, sitting here every single day, like everything is just so tight, right? So I said to myself, okay, this morning I'm going to like kind of move from the strength and go more toward like a yoga or a stretch. Oh my gosh, I kind of regretted that decision if I'm being honest. But it was like this reminder that I need to take the time for me and prioritize me, right? Because what happens with me, it's the first thing that I don't do or I choose not to do when I have too much on my plate, right? And I give a reason or an excuse like, oh, I have this, or we're traveling here, blah, blah, blah. What I have to do is remind myself of how good it used to feel, how good I felt, how good I looked, right? And all the energy that I had. And feeling good is a good thing. Like it allows you to show up better, right? For those who we serve. We get those endorphins going strong. So we're happy. We have good energy. Our clothes are fitting better. So we feel more comfortable, right? Versus like kind of tugging on our clothes and trying to hide like all the masa, as we call it, or try to hide like all the like little bumps or muffin tops or whatever our hangups are, arms or, Um, so my question is will you make a commitment to make exercise a habit, whatever that looks like for you? Okay. All right. Success habit number 3, eat right and get sleep. Duh, right? You might be saying, Michelle, I know these things. Okay. Reminder that this is a reminder of what you need to do. Because nowadays they're putting so many things in our food that's causing all kinds of internal issues. And it's really affecting us when we don't think or know that it is. I know for me, I have a lot of digestive issues and things like that. And when I really started to look, like here I am thinking I'm eating healthy at times. And when I really start to look at like, well, what am I eating? What is in this? Like, even though it's healthy, like what's going on, not realizing it was causing a lot of these issues, right? Sleep is another thing. You hear this all the time. And I know that you know that it's true, right? Okay, so I got my Aura ring and it monitors my sleep. And then every morning, it gives me like this kind of report of not only my sleep, but my readiness. And I actually love it because it's showing me every morning what that score is. So, and kind of like what my sleep pattern was. So I can figure out how many hours of sleep that I need to get a night that will make me go through the day without wanting to take a nap, right? I can't tell you how many times that I'm sitting here at my desk working on stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot keep my eyes open. Like, I literally cannot keep my eyes open. So if I can't keep my eyes open, I'm certainly not able to concentrate or focus on what I'm doing. And that makes me not show up and do the type of work that I know that I can do, right? And then more importantly, allow my body to recover and rebuild the strength to get me to have that sharp thinking and really ready to take on the day, right? How many times do you roll out of bed and you're like hitting the snooze and you're like, oh my God, do I have to, right? Rather than jumping up out of the bed and saying like, I'm ready to take this on, right? Proper nutrition and proper sleep is what it takes to give you that energy that you need. So, where can you improve your eating and your sleeping habits? And just to go back, I spent 5 days at Funnel Hacking Live with Natalie. So she's in my mastermind with me, and she's also a client. So we have never really had any like personal conversation together. So it was a wonderful time to kind of get to know each other a little better, dive really deep into each other's businesses. And one of the things that I even thanked her because one of the things I took away, because she's very mindful of what she puts in her body and the types of things that she eats. And does she have French fries? Probably yes, 1 or 2 at every meal. However, it's her way of saying, hey, I'm eating this salad and I'm having, I feel really good, but I also like the fries. All right. So everything doesn't just have to be. And thank you again, Natalie, for being that inspiration to me to kind of balance it out and really restart my healthy eating habits. Okay. Success habit number 4 is to read. I want you to listen to these stats because when I heard these, I was like, what the what? Okay. 80% of US households do not buy a book last year. Okay. Did not buy a book last year. 80% of households. Over 30% of high school graduates never read another book in their lives. Over 40% of college graduates never read another book in their lives. Okay. So honestly, I can relate to those statistics because I always related reading to studying for a test, right? It was like reading in school, and I wasn't really a total big fan of school, and I definitely didn't like the pressure, right? So I never really read for fun. It wasn't until we were trying to get pregnant and having to go to the doctor appointments, like I was so bored just sitting there by myself, or, waiting for the results or waiting for the next thing. And I'm like, you know what? Let me get a good book. Now, remind you, this was before iPhones and all those other kinds of things where you can kind of entertain yourself right there in your hands. This is where I actually started to enjoy reading and really got into these murder mysteries, right? So here's another statistic. The average CEO reads 60 books per year. What the what? Let me repeat that again. The average CEO reads 60 books per year. Okay. What does that tell you? It tells me that personal development and honing in on your skills is really the key to success. So, how many books are you reading in a year? I probably read 12, maybe. Like my goal is to read at least once a month. I know other people have a goal to read one a week. I personally just don't have, I can't read that fast, right? Or that's the reason I tell myself, and really focus and hone in, because I'm very big on anything that I read or I'm learning, or I like to implement as I go. I like to really think about like how I can implement this in my life, right? So I've literally had to block time out for me to read when I'm not close to my computer, right? So I can absorb everything. So I read at the beach, I read in the pool, right? Those are my two favorite places to read, because it allows me to be focused on the words that I'm reading. It allows me to visualize the concepts and how I'd like to implement the concepts in my business or in my life. So, how might you be reading or make reading more of a habit? Okay. So, even if you're reading, if you're like one of these crazy people reading one book a week, how can you up that, right? If you're reading one a quarter, like just add one in. Okay. All right. Success habit number 5, write down your goals. Now, Harvard did this study in the 1970s where they had a group write down their goals, right? These are graduates. And then they went back to all their graduates in the 80s and found that the ones who wrote their goals down were more successful than those who did not. Okay. And another study I researched showed that participants who wrote down their goals achieved those desires at a significantly higher level than those who didn't. In fact, the woman who did this research found that you can become 42% more likely to achieve your goals and dreams simply by writing them down on a daily basis. Okay. So the reason why it's so important to write down your goals is because it narrows your focus and provides short-term motivation and excitement, right? It's that reminder. So written goals force you to choose specific measurable goals that are important to you in the long term and in the short term. So having this clarity helps you filter out things, activities, maybe people who don't support your goals. Now, my mom always had me do goals every year, right? Even when we were in business together, we did the business goals together, and then we would do our personal goals, right? And then in the business, we would really map out and dive in objectives, action plans, all these kind of things, timelines. It was like crazy pants. So that is the reason I am so obsessed with goals and really crushing them. So thanks, Mom. All right. Number 6, focused work time. I'm talking needle moving activities. During the time that you're working, you are actually doing revenue generating activities, like totally focused, no distractions, like getting it done, right? Then when they're done, they are done. Okay. So it's like I have this time where I'm working. When I'm the what is that? The whistle blows, then I'm going to spend time with my spouse, my family, right? And they're enjoying their non-work time. So can you really say that you have focused work time doing those revenue generating activities or things that are moving the needle to get that revenue generated? All right. Number 7, really good at planning your week. Listen, There's another thing I'm a little obsessed about, which my husband and I are very opposite. So when he sees too much of this, like planning and structure, like he literally leaves the room because he's like, my brain cannot deal with it. I am totally obsessed with all these things. Time management is everything, everything. And my friend Megan Summerall is a woman that you should be following for ninja time management tips, really, especially when you're diving into like this work-life harmony, right? Where you don't have to feel like you're neglecting your loved ones or prioritizing yourself and things like that. Like it all goes together. And she's so, so good at it. And I wanted to recommend what I do because I got this habit down and it works. And as soon as I veer from the habit or I don't do one of these things, I don't see as much either revenue, I don't see as much productivity, I don't show up as the leader that I need to be. Everybody's like, Michelle, what am I supposed to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, hold on, you know? So if you would be open to it, I would love to share what I do. This is going to be very helpful for you. So Sundays, I don't care if it's morning, noon, or night, whenever I feel like it, I plan the week ahead. And here's how I do it. And it usually takes me about 20 or 30 minutes-ish, you know, depending on what's going on. Okay. So first, I do use the 90X journal. So this is kind of, I follow a little bit of this and it helps it, okay? So the first thing I do is I rewrite my 3 to 5 90-day goals, okay? So if you're not planning quarterly, everything that I run is based off of 90 days. So I rewrite what are the 3 to 5 main goals that I have. So this reminds me of what I'm working towards. And of course, I write them as if they're done. Okay. Then right next to it, I rewrite like 1 or 2 actions that I need to do for that week to move me closer to accomplishing that goal. Right. So it's just like an overview. You don't have to have all your tasks. So an example of that would be, let's say, by the end of December 31st, I look at my bank account on December 31st and there is $20,000. Okay. So what do I need to do on that today? Maybe this week it's all about, let's say, scheduling or deciding on a date for a challenge. And then, or it could be maybe like start your ads this week, right? Build the funnel this week, right? Just like an overall view. Okay. Same thing for your health. So by December 31st, I jump on the scale and it says how much ever, 30 pounds down. I'm just throwing out numbers, right? So it's what am I going to do this week? I'm going to exercise 5 days. I'm going to drink whatever 3 of these big old things of water, right? So what is that for you? Okay. All right. So even though I have all the action steps in ClickUp, because that's what you do with your quarterly planning, writing down the goals and the actions just ingrains in my mind, in my head, and it really helps keep me focused. Okay. Then I look at the week prior and I do some evaluation. So the first thing I do is look at what went well last week. Like I love celebrating. So what am I celebrating? How am I celebrating? And make sure to plan it for the upcoming week, and plan it is the celebration. Okay. Number 2, what should I stop doing that I did last week? Like, was I doing things that kept me in integrity with my habits that I want to create? Or was there something that I kept pushing off? Right. So if I said I was going to exercise 5 days a week, let's just say, and I didn't, or I only did 2, well, what am I looking at here? What am I going to make sure I'm doing? What am I going to stop doing? Right. Was I scrolling too much? Was Natalie just got me hooked to this Marco Polo app. So now I'm all like, wait a minute, I got to do this. It's too much talking with my friends. Am I not doing, those are kinds of things. Okay. Number 3. I look at what I should start doing this week. So what is it that I want to do? What should I do? I want to start doing this. Maybe it's the reading, right? Maybe it's like, okay, I'm going to eat this certain food, right? Okay. 3rd, I map out 3 things that, I map out 3 things: my projects, my clients' projects, and learning. The idea is to fill up my time with focused action. Okay. Then that's what I do on Sundays. Then every morning of that week, I take about 5 minutes and I create my, I do a few things. I create my I am statement. Okay. Basically, I decide who I need to be for that day. So some days, let's say I have coaching calls or doing a live video or podcast interview, I will say I am magnetic, right? If I am building funnels or creating ad campaigns, then I say I am productive, I am creative. Okay. So I am joy. Whatever you need to feel, want to feel for that day, then write it down. Okay. After that, I look at my schedule and I set alarms on my phone to keep me on task, right? So I'll look at it and say, okay, I have these calls. So I'll make sure I'm on the call, right? Give myself a few minutes to freshen up, go to the restroom, do whatever I need to do, refill my water. With my projects that I'm working on, I want to have time because sometimes, if you're anything like me, you get so involved in a project, instead of being an hour, you go 2 hours or something like that. Or you're answering your Voxer, your emails, and it's like, oh my gosh, where did the time go? It's 5 o'clock and I didn't do the first thing on my list. Okay. So the alarms will keep you on track. And I definitely prioritize my tasks. So this is something I used to do when I did work with my mom in the mortgage company. Every day I would literally number, and I still do it today. I number what I'm doing. Because what would happen to me is sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. Where do I start? And then I'm like all over the place. And honestly, sometimes I would kind of lollygag or, like I didn't know what to do next. Even though it was written down, I was like, well, wait, which is more important? Do I have a deadline to do this for? Right. So if you number them, then you're just like, okay, number one, I do all this. Okay, wait, what do I do next? Number two, like it just makes things so much easier. All right. Lastly, I never get up from my desk at the end of the day without preparing for the following day. So I started doing this over 20 years ago. It has to be over 25 years ago. And it literally improved my sleep for sure and really allowed me to be present once I left and got home with my family because I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't forget to do this. And it's like, oh, I forgot to do that today. Did I write this down? And it's like you're thinking of all these things. And if you just write down what you have to do, it takes like 5 minutes every night to prepare for the day before. And the last thing I do at the end of every day is I celebrate a win for that day. Because too often we're in the grind and we tend to focus on things that don't go the way that we planned, or maybe some icky stuff that happened and it just gets you down, right? So what if you found the win or the good for that day? Like it's going to change your whole energy because throughout the day, you're going to be looking for this win. And how crazy cool would it be if you had like 2 wins? Just saying. Okay. Number 8, practice positive self-talk until you don't have to, right? Build yourself up versus beating yourself down. I think we can all relate to this at some shape or form. We're all entrepreneurs, and this is this crazy roller coaster of the good, the bad, and the ugly. The bottom line is that you need to be your number one fan. Like you need to become so self-aware that you catch yourself being that mean girl to yourself and reframe it. It's all about focusing on what you want and not what you don't want, what you have, not what you don't have, right? It's all about letting go of the worry and being bold through the fear, right? One thing I learned this past week is that we all have fear. So to say you're fearless, you're kind of telling yourself a lie because we all have fear no matter what it is at some level or another. Okay. So what we need to be is bold and courageous. And on that next episode, when I share the top 5 takeaways, I'm going to share something pretty cool that Marie Folio shared at Funnel Hacking Live that will really help you, or something to say, right? So I can't wait to share that with you. All right, so keep in mind that your thoughts create your feelings and your feelings create your actions or inactions, right? And those actions or inactions will determine your results. So really, really keep that in mind. And you could probably fight for your limitations and give me all these reasons and excuses why you can't do positive self-talk. So you can either choose to fight for those limitations or you choose not to. All right. The last one, number 9, is to have mentors. Now, did you know that the average millionaire have 7 mentors before they become millionaire, right? Now, it doesn't mean you have to necessarily pay someone. It could even be someone from afar. I know when I first got started, Brendan Bouchard was one of the main people that I followed for both business and in life. I kind of found him through life and then realized he did some business stuff. And there was a couple other people, but huge impact. I learned so much, right? So having a coach is invaluable. It's actually the habit that everyone should definitely do. A mentor who has been there, done that, right, is going to help you get to where you want to be so much faster than doing it on your own. And if you really wanted to go through like the School of Google or YouTube University, you could totally do that, right? However, it's not curated. It's not in a step-by-step process to follow. Plus, it'll take you so much time to go through everything, right? Like that's my whole thing, even with the programs that I have or the coaching that I have. Yes, you can go online and learn how to build a funnel, run your ads, whatever. But it's like, wait a minute, how old is this video? Is this, is this still a thing? Is there a new strategy? Is there new buttons going on, right? You're kind of questioning yourself, is this the right steps? Am I missing something, right? And it's just so much time that you have to take that's not necessary, I should say. And it's your precious time, right? Think about all the time that you're going to be missing out on, like with your family, with your loved ones, and just living your crazy cool life. Because living your crazy cool life is what life is all about, right? You started your business to have freedom and to have control over your life. Am I right? So get honest with yourself. Like, no one else has to be here listening. You don't have to admit that you're wrong to anyone. Just be honest with yourself. Always be honest with yourself, because what you say when no one else is listening, like that matters most. Okay. Or even what you don't say and you're thinking, that's what matters most to your success. You know what you're doing and what you're not doing and what you should be doing. Okay. So make a commitment to yourself to start creating highly successful habits today, right now, in this moment. I appreciate you so much for being here with me today. Until next time, let's grow your business together.